Hello and welcome to Reely Rated, a movie discussion podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Stevens, and this is my co-host, Jess Andrews.
Hello!
How are you this week, Jess?
Oh, I'm fabulous, thank you. The snow is due to come, so I'm excited for that. Do you want to build a snowman?
I do want to build a snowman. But Jess, I just have to ask you, are you okay, ma'am? Are you okay? There's a train coming. It's the express. It's really fast.
Please don't address me as if I am that man. So, Mitchell, what exactly is the context of your little joke?
Well, today we'll be talking about While You Were Sleeping. It is a Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman vehicle. A screwball comedy, as Wikipedia described it.
I never got that when I first watched it, but I can kind of see on a rewatch, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty screwball.
What people call screwball, I think, is farce. I know there's a difference, because farce is a series of more and more ridiculous occurrences occurring one after the other.
Yeah.
But this is pretty ridiculous, this film. Like, starting from a tiny white lie that turns into a massive whopping black lie.
To defend my choice, I chose it because we like to focus on the films that are a little bit underappreciated, and I feel like this one is massively underappreciated in the entire genre. So that is why today we're going to be picking it apart, discussing what we loved, discussing what we didn't like, and trying to figure out if it deserves a bit of a higher place up near Harry and Sally and, you know, the Meg Ryans.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely underrated, because I revealed at the end of last month's podcast that I haven't actually seen this, which is kind of a shock because I'm a massive Sandra Bullock fan.
Oh, who isn't?
Well, I did a bit of research because I wanted to, not come into this podcast totally a novice about the film. It is surprising considering it is her first leading role. Am I right?
I think Speed was the year before, wasn't it?
But you could sort of say that was more of a Keanu Reeves vehicle, like literally.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. But I'd say it's fairly equal, but I suppose when they were marketing it, it would definitely be a Keanu Reeves thing.
Yeah. I mean, right. It definitely established her as a Hollywood actress that you can take seriously and put in a film and then trust that she's going to do her job to the best of her ability. Very
efficient is our Sandy.
Yeah, because you could tell, going back, I know it's not a Speed podcast, but when you watch that film, you can definitely tell she's kind of like green, shall we say? Like she's quite new to the game. And even by this film, and I believe, is it 1994? Is it 1994 for both of them? Or is it 95?
I believe this one was released in 1995.
So, but she might have filmed it in...
It's quite possible that it was at the same time, yeah.
So even by the time she gets into this film, I'd say that she's the Sandra Bullock that we know and recognise today. Like, I think she's on her game.
Yeah, I agree. I found out the other day that she's like 54, 55 years old, which blew my mind.
I know. We're all inching slowly towards death every day.
Yeah, but if I look like Sandra Bullock at 55, then I'll be happy.
So, Jess, give us your reasoning for picking this film and some of the background on the film and how it was received at the time. Because, like I said, I did a bit of research, but not a lot. I'm a complete novice. So I wanted to hear you not defend the film, because not to spoil my review at the end, but I did enjoy the film. Just give us your reasoning for why you want to talk about it.
Basically, I must admit, it is a complete guilty, not even guilty, it's a pleasure of mine. It's one of my favourite films, and it was received pretty well on release, actually, which is not surprising considering that the 90s was like the rom-com peak period, wasn't it? And you could not go to the cinema without there being at least one on.
Was there a Hugh Grant film out at the time? I bet there was.
Probably. I think it was probably 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Oh, Hugh.
But no, I think it's one of those films that's quite of its time as well. Given that it was mid-90s, you could not have a film like this in the 2000s. One quick Google, the whole lie would be off.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that when I was watching this.
Yeah, that's part of its charm. I think that it's quite innocent.
That is a word I would describe the film as, quite innocent.
It's very innocent. Bless it. Yeah, it made a lot of money actually compared to its original budget. It was 17 million, and it made 180 million at the box office. So
wow,
you're looking at 163 million, which is astounding, and no wonder that Sandra Bullock And Bill Pullman got lots of movies after that.
We're talking about how this is her first leading role, so it's definitely starring role.
Yeah.
And for her to bring that much money in, it definitely established her career right off the bat.
Yeah. Also, it's quite a I don't know what the word would be, but it's a VHS movie. It's it's one of those films that when you go to the movies and it's like a big action thriller, and you're at the movies and it's like, wow, you have a great cinematic experience. But there's certain films that you just want to watch at home on the sofa. So I think it's one of those, actually. So the actual DVD sales, Blu-ray, whatever, downloads now, those sales probably a lot higher, but I couldn't find any information on that. But I think it did really well, and so it deserved to. It was directed by John Turteltaub, which is a really odd name. But it was funny because I was when I was watching it again, I was thinking, God, I know that name. It's quite a strange name. I'm sure I've heard it before. So I did a little bit of Googling, and he directed Cool Runnings, which everyone loves, National Treasure, which everyone loves.
Oh, what, the National Treasure?
Yeah, the National Treasure and the sequel.
Oh, I love those films.
I don't think I've seen all of them. I mean, I've seen bits of them, but I've never sat down. But the general feeling that I get when I talk to people about it is like they love it. And he also recently directed The Meg, which I'm yet to see. But
I love directors that can jump around different genres and just don't stick to their niche. Because I would never watch this film and think to myself, oh yeah, that's the guy who directed National Treasure and The Meg.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I just watched Meg recently in cinema, and I would never think that this is the guy that directed a rom-com. I thought it was a new star. I don't know what it says about the film.
Well, I assumed when the trailers came out that it would have been someone like Rennie Harlin or somebody, or Roland Emmerich, but no, he's a jack of all trades. I should also mention the composer is Randy Edelman, another one that I was thinking, I definitely know that name. So after a bit more Googling, I found out he's the guy that scored Anaconda. What?
Wow.
Yep. Ghostbusters 2, Dragonheart, which, oh my God, that score is beautiful. I would recommend anybody to YouTube that bad boy. So it'll give you all sorts of feels. Again, he's got a really varied career because he did My Cousin Vinny, Drop Dead Fred, Beethoven, which is the one that I knew him from. Because I remember seeing it in the credits when I was little. And I think the score is just lovely for this film. Did you like it? Did you notice it at all?
Yes, and that's one of the points I was going to get onto. So I might as well just bring it up now. The bits especially the bits where the lie starts to, not unravel, but it is used for that point as well. But there's a little orchestral score underneath when she either is about to tell a lie or she's about to get caught in something.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because it added a bit of charm to the film, but also to her.
Yeah.
Going into Sandra Bullock herself, I found that Lucy, and I don't know whether you disagree or not, but I felt like she was a bit of a Girl Friday. And what I mean by that is the term Girl Friday is used in neo-noir, even noir films about a girl who is often the sidekick to a detective, but she's always charming. She's never a sexual character, but she's always someone that you can rely on. She's often comedic. And I think I find it hard to separate Lucy from Sandra Bullock herself, because having seen so much of her career from then to now, I often feel like Sandra Bullock is often cast in a role for her, not for what she can bring to it, if that makes sense. Because if I want to film, especially The Proposal, I feel like she's playing against type in that film, but it's still her.
Yeah, I mean, as the film goes on, it becomes more of her, doesn't it? But
yeah, definitely.
In the beginning, you can definitely tell she's trying not to be herself.
But so for someone like Lucy, I couldn't think of anyone else to have picked other than Sandra Bullock, because she's instantly likable. She's instantly and she has a bit of don't mess with me.
Something that I really like about the score as well is that it kind of, I know that most scores are supposed to do this, but I feel especially in this film, it's kind of like her inner feeling. If you imagine your life as a movie and you've got the score, when you're running for the bus and you've got dun 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 in your head.
Which I often do.
Yeah. Because obviously she talks a little bit in the beginning anyway, so you've got a bit of an inner monologue going on. The score does a really good job of kind of musically telling you what she's thinking. So like you said, when she's about to tell a lie or whatever, it kind of gets a bit panicky, and in the sentimental moments you've got that nice score. And I just really enjoy it. I feel like you just know her character so well.
I mean, you know that I love a good narration. So the film opening up, like, so I was sitting down to watch it and I was thinking, and to be honest, I had a bit of preconceived notions because I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of rom-coms. It has to be quite a special rom-com for me to actually want to watch it.
Yeah.
So I was sitting down and then instantly I get this like charming score when you're following the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of like up and cheery and I was like, oh, I want to watch, I want to get into this. And it's that song. Oh, who sung it? Is it...
Oh, it's, I believe it's Dusty Springfield?
That instantly got me into the film. That's the power of music. And then you have Sandra Bullock. The first impression we get of her is her as a child of her dad. And she's, talking to us. And then you get that instant connection, which, again, just adds to the charm of the film and charm to Lucy herself. And I don't know about you, Jess, but for a split second, I had to double take her dad. Now, I didn't know Peter Gallagher was in this film. But when I saw her dad, I actually thought to myself, hang on a minute, is that Papa Cohen from the OC?
They do look similar, and I think that's a really good point, because I think the reason it's never said in the film, but what I infer from it is because Peter
Gallagher.
Yeah, there's Peter Boyle and Peter Gallagher, and I get confused between the two names. Peter Gallagher looks so much like her dad, and I feel like that's why she falls for him. She's got slight daddy issues.
Oh, definitely. She has big daddy issues.
Yeah. So I think the tall, dark, and handsome thing is like, that's the reason. But it's such a nice opening as well, because quite often, especially in these sort of films, you don't really get that introduction to them as a child. I think that really endears you to a character. And
also, I think, like, I don't know whether or not it might be a 90s trope, definitely 80s, 90s trope, but the narration's kind of died out in modern films as well these days.
Yeah.
Some films will still use them, but I think it's become more of that's an old trope that we're going to move away from. Because I think people have started doing the whole kind of show, not tell, which is a great rule to live by, like if you're a screenwriter and a filmmaker. But I think a narration is often underappreciated for what it can bring to a film.
It can be cheesy if they don't do it right.
Yes.
Like, I read that at one point Christopher Columbus was meant to be directing this. And I can remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so glad he didn't, because I feel like if he was to do it, it would have become incredibly cheesy. So well done. I was going to call him Turtle.
Yeah, we'll call him Turtle.
I'm pleased that he did it, because I think his vision was just in the right level of cheese. And
definitely. Well, talking about cheese, like, just while we're on the subject of the beginning opening part, did you notice the guy taking a dive on the ice?
Yeah.
Okay, because they used loads of stock footage of Chicago, setting the scene and that, like where it's going to take place. And the last shot you get before it goes into the flashback is just this guy taking a dive on the ice. So I was thinking to myself, why would you use that? Because I instantly just it took me out of it a little bit.
Oh, really?
But then I realised that it's a thing that he's either setting up or he likes to do, because there's that guy taking a dive on the ice, and then there's that paper boy later on taking a dive.
Yeah.
And then you have Lucy later on.
Well, do you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, because I think that is the reason that he does it, because I think otherwise, because that scene where they have the, like, ice kerfuffle is, some might call it cheesy. I think it's quite sweet, really. I think it's quite realistic, but...
yeah, it's definitely their meet cute.
Yeah, but he's building up that would happen. It's Christmas time, it's icy, that sort of thing would happen. So I think it's completely intentional, to be honest. Or if it was a mistake, he chose to keep it in for that reason. Because
I noticed it, because it was so, like, out of character, like, for stock footage. You wouldn't have someone taking a dive. Because you'd want something quite clean, quite precise. Just stock footage of people mulling around. It did stand out to me. And then but then as soon as I saw the paperboy thing, I was thinking, oh no, this guy just has something, has a thing for people just stacking it.
He loves you being framed.
And it wasn't until I got to that meet cute bit, that was definitely setting up. And I took it in terms of, like, it was encompassing Lucy's loneliness. And sort of, you need someone to literally hold you up.
Yeah.
Especially she does, as we sort of come to learn. So I think it was definitely intentional. And it was leading up to this point where you realise that what she's doing is that she's not just lying because she likes this guy, Peter Gallagher. She's lying because she's suddenly fallen in love with the family.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that he, like you said, either intentional or unintentional. But it definitely sort of, those two moments did spring to mind when I saw that scene. So it worked. I think it showed mastery over play with your emotions, or at least setting up what to expect from this, what could be just a cheesy scene of them just falling about on the ice. I took it as meaning something deeper.
Do you know what I must say, sometimes, people being clumsy in movies, especially, they always do it in rom-coms where the lead female, not usually the man, but usually the female, is always like super, super clumsy. And like, oh, I'm so adorable because I'm so clumsy. I find a bit offensive. Not offensive, but a bit like, oh, it's so tired.
Well, her character Gracie in Miss Congeniality springs to mind when you say that. She's the definition of clumsy.
But what I like about the movie itself, actually, is that all the characters are a little bit kind of fallible.
Yeah.
She's not the only idiot. There's like a ton of characters and none of them are perfect. And I really like that. It's not just her being the token idiot.
The writing is impeccable, in my opinion. I mean, there are some of the characters, are a little bit not unbelievable, because I even believe, is it Joe Jr.?
He's still single.
I still believe his character is someone that could exist in Chicago right now. Definitely at the time as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But for me, the writing made these characters believable, and that's half the job of a screenwriter. It's immediately apparent with Lucy, like when she's pulling in that Christmas tree into her.
Oh yeah.
Because how else is she going to get a tree into her into her apartment?
Yeah, not up the stairs.
So maybe that's not logical at all. But
well, thinking about it, I think actually it's telling you something about her character, because she could quite easily have gone, "Oh, Joe Jr., can you take the tree up the stairway for me?" And he would have done, but she's an independent woman.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And also, I think there's this little bit of, it's ironic that she's not from Chicago, but when I was watching this, I didn't know that. Well, no, they tell you in the narration, but I didn't really pick up on that. I just thought she was
she's from Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
But I just thought she was Chicago native just because of the way her attitude is.
Yeah.
And she might have obviously acclimatized, given that she's been there for so long. But I think there's a bit of her like Chicago toughness. Yeah. This is a girl who's independent. She's from Chicago. Bitch, I'm from Chicago.
And it makes sense, well, to play into like her loneliness, is that she's not native, so she's not going to have loads of school friends and people that knew her family, her dad and mum. So it does make sense.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
But yeah, so we have the intro, which is grand and sets the scene really well, and then we fast forward to her in her early 30s, late 20s. I'd assume. I wouldn't say she's any younger than that, would you?
No, she's not any younger than that. Thing is, though, she definitely looks young, but Bill Pullman looks not old.
Yeah, but he's always looked old.
He's always looked old, true. But even all the family. Now I've mentioned it, I want to jump to the family because I have some opinions on them.
Yeah.
And we can jump back and forth. But when we are introduced to the family, I found it really troubling to decipher who was who.
Oh, really?
Because so you've got Peter Boyle, who my heart just melted when I saw him. I was like, I can't believe he's in this film. It actually sort of elevated the film for me.
Really?
Because he's so funny. So I could tell that he's meant to be the dad and his wife. I could decipher who they were.
Yeah.
But it's Saul, and then it's the older lady. I was thinking, are you the grandparents? Because you can't be the grandparents because the guy is probably the same age as Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, are you a granddad? Are you an uncle? Because the way he was talking to the nan, which is the Peter Boyle's wife's mum, I believe, they had this kind of like bickering marriage relationship.
Yeah, I must admit, I never really picked up on that when I was younger. But I suppose I should read it as they're friends. But no, you're right. They do have a bit of a old married couple thing going on.
And it wasn't until later that when he states that he is, Peter's godfather, that I was like, oh, okay, I know who you are now. But I think it adds to the whole chaos that Lucy's feeling, though. Because you're like, this family just comes in and she's like, who are you? And I'm thinking the same thing.
Well, it's like when you get a new partner, not that he's her partner, but when you're introduced to a new family, you do have to kind of scope the area, don't you? And sort of figure out, oh, okay, that's so-and-so's son. Oh, they were divorced, now they're back together.
But another aspect of the film that I liked, and this relates to, because does this all happen on Christmas Day when he actually falls on the track?
Yes.
So first of all, I love the bit where the boss is like, oh, so Sandra B, you're single, so you can work Christmas Day.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I never, when I watched it, I never really thought he was being out of order. I thought, well, he's kind of right. Like, I know it's awful, but, she is the only one without a family. All the other families are going to be gutted.
Yeah, that is true.
It's only her cat. Her cat's going to miss her. Meow, where are you, Mummy? It's Christmas.
No, but yeah, but I found her boss so charming, and I'll get into the side characters in a moment because they do give some awful piece of advice.
They do, but I love all the side characters. I think they're hilarious.
So she's working Christmas Day, and I'm just thinking, okay, that's fine. But I was thinking, who are you going to see on Christmas Day? Yeah, the odd couple travelling here and there, going to see family. But where on earth was Peter Gallagher on his way to? Was he on his way to the family home?
I don't think so, because don't they make mention that he's like barely seen them?
But I assumed that he was on his way to work.
But he's a lawyer, isn't he? I think so. I don't. Because they carry pencils. So I'm not really sure, but
it didn't bother me because when I was watching it, I just thought, because it actually took me for a split second to realise that we are on Christmas Day when, she's sitting there head in hand and she's just playing with the tokens. It actually takes me a second to realise that, oh, this is Christmas Day, see Peter again. And I was thinking, oh, hang on a minute, it's Christmas Day. Where is he off to? Because he looked really smart, but not even smartly dressed for Christmas, just smartly dressed for work. And I was thinking, you're on your way to work. And then obviously the really botch mugging happened. But was it even a mugging? It looked really kind of like...
That's never really spoken about, is it? They just say he got pushed. So it could be that... I think they're trying to take his briefcase, aren't they? That's
what I was thinking, because they're grabbing his briefcase and then they're playing with his scarf. And the next thing you see him just fall, get pushed.
Yeah, I'd have left him.
Well, I was just thinking, when she jumps onto the track, so she jumps onto the track and then she's trying to wake him up, and go back to the joke I said at the beginning where she's like, that's the express coming and it's really fast.
It's an express.
Well, if it was an overground service, in the UK, especially in London, I said you'd be fine because they'd be running late or cancelled.
Yeah.
You would have had time.
I mean, I'm actually not sure how she got the superhuman strength to lug his dead weight over those rails and underneath the thingy.
Well, she's used to dealing with trains because, in Speed, when she's on that speeding train at the end.
Mitch, it's not the same person.
Oh, it is in my mind.
That's why she's lonely. Keanu died.
Oh, but she replaces him in the second film. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's not talk about that. It's just depressing.
No, and I wouldn't say it's an upgrade either. I think it's more of a downgrade.
It's definitely a downgrade. Whoa. So she saves his life and he gets taken into hospital.
Yes.
For some reason she goes with him. I'm not really sure why and why she's allowed to leave the train station, but hey ho.
That's a good point.
Who's manning the train station?
The medics wouldn't say to her oh, you saved this guy's life, do you want to come with? They would say to her, thank you for saving his life. We'll let you know if he's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
They'd take a number, or they'd say just ring, the train station. Be all right. Yeah, who's manning the booths?
Yeah, but this is rom-com land, so we don't need to worry too much about that.
I mean, it might have been a half day because the trains don't run all day, I don't think.
So they get in, and she, for some bizarre reason, says to herself, "Oh, I'm just going to marry him." Which is the sort of thing that I say about The Rock on a daily basis, but...
Who wouldn't?
I know. But a nurse overhears her, and that is the ball starts rolling then, the lies upon lies.
I love the nurse because she's this, you could just so tell that she's this eternal romantic. Do you know what it is? She wants her rom-com moment.
Yeah.
So she hears Sandra B going oh, I'm going to marry that guy. And she's thinking, oh, I could be the side character that helps this,
That's literally what she could be thinking in that scene.
Yeah, and so she's thinking, oh, I'm going to help facilitate this, and I'm going to then turn up in the rest of the film at opportune moments and then have my moment and even be at the wedding at the end.
So to be fair, when she's brought in and the family arrive, she doesn't actually have that much of a chance to explain herself because they just go blah, 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 blah.
No, I absolutely agree, yeah.
I think if they had been quieter and everything, she would have been able to go, oh no, and I think she does try to say oh wait, hold on. But she can't get a word in edgeways, like for most families.
What I do like is that, we'll go back to the family bit because I want to talk about a few of the characters again. But, when she finally gets away from them and she says to the nurse...
Why?
The thing is, though, this nurse who has inserted herself into the narrative... she's not a bitch, but she's like, oh, next time, just tell yourself you're single. And I'm thinking, okay, number one, harsh.
Yeah.
Number 2, she wasn't speaking to you anyway. You just went off on your own, like a renegade, and went, right, I'm going to take you into the room and say that this is his fiance. No.
I mean, really, I suppose you could say that she's like the guardian angel of the story. Like, she does end up giving Lucy the family she wants, but on the other hand, she's a little shit stirrer.
She definitely is. It just made me laugh because you're absolutely right. There are points where Lucy's trying to tell them. She's like, "Oh no, I'm not."
Something quite interesting actually is that originally when the script was written, also the film was written by 2 men, which isn't common with this sort of genre. But apparently, Lucy was written as a man to begin with, and it was a woman in a coma. But the studio execs said that it was like way too creepy, and that people would, think, "Ooh, that's like stalker behaviour."
Definitely.
So it was rewritten, and then it was picked up. So clearly women are less scary than men, apparently.
That would work today because people would be like, because obviously we've had so many romantic comedies through the years, now that would be heralded as, refreshing.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting spin. Like, for instance, there's a remake of Splash in the works, but the roles have been reversed.
Merman.
I'm a merman.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think they're going for the whole kind of like 22 Jump Street because they've cast Channing Tatum as the merman.
Oh, really? Ooh.
I'm excited to see it. I think it could work. But my point is, if that was done, say for instance they were to remake While You Were Sleeping Now, I could so see them reversing the roles again.
Yeah.
And doing it that way, because it could also play very differently. And also, I think it depends who you cast.
Yes.
So, for instance, last night we were watching Molly's Game.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Cera pops up. Now, could you imagine a Michael Cera type?
Sorry.
Could you imagine? You wouldn't think he was... Well, no, maybe you would think he was creepy, but...
If I woke up from a coma and Michael Cera was saying he was my fiancé, I'd be like, what was I smoking? Which is a good point, actually, because it's quite funny how when it gets announced to the family that Lucy is his fiance, that they don't believe it. They're like, they do, but they're very skeptical. They're like, oh, and you can tell they're thinking he would never go for someone like this.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Which is kind of mean, but it's completely understandable.
When you meet Ashley, though, who is the one that they say, oh, did you steal him from Ashley?
Yeah, that's right.
It's definitely a compliment towards Lucy, though. When you actually meet her, you think, because I have to say, like, spoilers, when we actually meet Peter when he comes out of a coma, oh my God, I am with Jack on this. He sucks.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, we'll get into all that when he wakes up, but I never really thought he was that great. Like, in the beginning, I guess I'm just not really a fan of, like, the kind of, model type man, but you can tell he's just quite sleazy and quite kind of obsessed with his looks.
Yeah, and when he's asleep, he has the worst sleep face ever. If I had to sleep next to that, I would smother him. Because he's definitely pouting. He's like, his lips are going, ooh.
I just can't stop looking at his eyebrows the whole way through.
Oh, I know that's, trademark, Peter Gallagher eyebrows.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known him. It's a bit hard for me to see him as, like, a leading man, like Lothario type, because I was introduced to him as, like, Papa Cohen in The OC, as, like, a dad.
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing about him being so bleh is, well, one, in every romantic comedy, there's always got to be the fool guy, hasn't there? The one that loses out. I mean, Bill Pullman was the fool guy in, I think it was Sleepless in Seattle. The obstacle for the main players to overcome, so to speak. But I thought it's quite interesting because he's definitely kind of the personification of, like, too good to be true. Because she just idolizes him. She thinks, oh, he's amazing, I'm going to fantasize about this life we could have together and how wonderful and funny and kind he is. And then to find out that he's not all that is kind of reassuring, I think, to sad single ladies like myself watching it.
Yeah, there's always this trope, where it's like you can't judge a book by its cover, especially if it's always the object of your affection that turns out not to be the guy that you're meant to be. Like, because you have that in Bridget Jones's Diary,
yeah, Daniel Cleaver.
Turns out to be not the right guy for her. But so when he actually woke up, I was actually shocked. Maybe I shouldn't have been shocked to find out that he was such a douche, given that that's the trope. The guy that you long for isn't actually who you think he is.
To be fair to him, I suppose, if you want to look at it another way, if you were going about your life with your Ashley Bartlett Bacon girlfriend. You know, high-flying lawyer with one ball. If you had went to a coma and woke up and your family were just telling you, oh yeah, this is your girlfriend, you know, you love her, blah, 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 blah. I can kind of understand how he'd be like a bit wet about it all.
But let's jump to, because it's okay to jump around, let's jump to when he wakes up, because I just want to just to talk about the characters, because I get what you're saying, because especially that bit where he sort of goes, do I like Jello?
That is pretty funny.
And all his family just look at him and go, yum. So I get where you're coming from, and I would totally understand that as well. You know, the fact that you're waking up and you're being told you have amnesia just because you don't recognise your fiancé.
It's a bit, in a way, it's a bit gaslighting, isn't it? Like, they're trying to make him feel like he's crazy, and he's not.
But then there's moments where you just think, oh no, guy, you do suck. Like when he turns around to Jack and says, he says to Lucy herself, which is even worse, Lucy, I might as well marry you.
No, he says, my family love you, I might as well love you. Oh, ouch. It just shows that he has so little kind of sentiment in his heart. He's just like, I might as well. I mean, who says that? Who says I might as well love you? You can't imagine Jack saying that, can you?
Like, I agree with you. Like, he is being gaslighted. He's being told by his family that, you know, this is a woman that you love. This is your fiancée. And, like, in their defence, it does make sense. They're being told that this is what's his fiancée. So they're putting two together and thinking, like, well, he has amnesia. But it's the things that he says that I'm just like, well, actually reveals him to be, you know, not a nasty person, but obviously a materialistic and quite shallow person. So in a way, I do respect him in the fact that he wants to be a better person. So he's come out of this amnesia as thinking that, you know, I want to live my life better than how I was living it. Because obviously, like you said, we find out that he hasn't spoken to his family in quite a while. And you've got to imagine, even though Ox, which is Peter Boyle's character, like the father, even though he seems to be understanding, I took it as in there was kind of probably a nasty animosity between him and his son when his son decided to go off and be a lawyer.
He makes little kind of snide comments, you know, about Ashley's name and about his teeth. They're caps.
$600 a tooth.
It kind of implies that he had to pay for them as well, which might be reason why he's pissed off. You know, he's gone off and been like a really successful lawyer that makes loads of money, lives in a fancy apartment, and he's there trying to keep his business afloat. We
see that at the end of the film when like Peter's talking and he's saying all these things and Jack's like, oh, you suck. We see that he's, you know, slowly as the film's gone on, he's started falling in love with Lucy. And I have to say, when we first met Jack, I was sort of, first of all, I was sort of like, oh, he's dreamy. Yeah. And then I started thinking to myself, hang on a minute, this is Bill Pullman though. You know, you don't fancy Bill Pullman.
See, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I always have done. It's his voice, it's all gravelly. Ooh.
But do you think he has this sort of commands the room in a sort of like, you know, because he's the romantic lead? Because I was kind of like unimpressed by him, and I didn't like Jack for the early stages of the film.
I think it's meant to be the point though. I think because Lucy is like kind of in her own little bubble and she doesn't have any like desire to be center of attention. She just wants to live a nice chilled out life with a nice family, you know, no pomp and circumstance. So I think Jack being so like kind of laid back and just there is more what she wants. Because can you imagine if Lucy was to get with Peter? Can you imagine what their life would be like? She'd hate it because she'd be constantly having to go to these poshy parties. You know, he'd be like parading her around like a trophy. Because
I firmly believe, even though Peter wakes up and he's like, I want to be a better person, I don't think he ends up with Ashley because I think he burnt that bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, so and also she has a husband, so she's not going to end up with.
Of course. You proposed to a married woman.
And then Nana's just taking pictures. But I strongly believe he goes back to his old ways. Like, he's still a lawyer. I still imagine he ends up with this well-to-do woman and has probably 2.4 children. Because there were points of the film that I felt a bit uneasy.
Right.
And mainly because I was thinking to myself, because I'm so on the side of Lucy, and then there's this lie that just spirals out of control. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, like, it's an innocent lie, I get that, but then you're playing with people's emotions, and I was sort of, like, uneasy.
Yeah.
So when Jack arrives and he starts sort of, like, sniffing out the truth, or what he thinks the truth, and we get various versions of his truth.
Yeah.
Like, it almost sort of made myself sort of rally against him. Not that I was cheering for her to end up with Peter, but it made me feel a bit like just at odds with the fact that he's trying to sniff out the truth, and then that would lead to her being shamed by everyone. Shamed.
Yeah, it's a really hard one because, like, you don't really know where your morals lie, do you?
No.
But I wouldn't say, because the problem that I have with a lot of these sort of plots where, you know, there's the fast they have to, like, hold up. Like, for instance, you know, like in You've Got Mail?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
I've seen bits of it.
So basically, very vaguely, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are emailing each other. And in real life, they know each other and they're competing business people. They've both got bookshops and he wants to kind of, like, ruin her business. So on the one hand, they're, like, getting on really well and emailing and stuff and falling in love. And on the other hand, they're competing. Now, it would have been fine if the whole way through the movie, Tom Hanks didn't know who he was talking to. But about a third of the way through the movie, he realises that she is the same person. And he carries on the lie the whole way through the movie. So he manipulates her to get her to close down her bookshop and basically, like, bankrupts her. And then at the end, she's like, I love you. And it's like, what?
Oh my God.
He is, like, he's morally, like, abhorrent. So in that kind of way, it's like, oh, you make my skin crawl. But because Lucy's lie is a complete, like, snowball of, like, misdemeanors and, like, accidental, like, misunderstandings, you're on her side.
Yeah, and she's not totally at fault here. Like, after the hospital part, and she goes to her boss and she explains what's going on.
Yes.
And he says to her, like, oh, you might as well carry on. He goes, you know, it's like shooting grandma.
See, that bit I think is definitely not realistic. However, it's a good way of kind of keeping her on the moral high ground to stop her looking creepy.
Yes, I agree. And also, because even though I do like Sol as a character, he is hilarious. He overhears her talking to him at night, basically just fessing up, saying, like, you know,
Yeah.
I could love you, I you know, but not this way. Because that was the part I was a little bit confused by. I was thinking, did he hear everything, or did he just hear parts of it? Because if you listen to the end part of when she's talking to him, it just sounds like a fiance talking to her, you know, to her soon-to-be husband.
I think he was meant to be there the whole time.
I think he was too, because he definitely sits her down and says to her, I know everything.
Yeah.
And I could have bloody slapped Sol. Because he is basically saying to her, look, I love this family. They let me in, and they could let you in too. Just don't hurt them. And that's when I knew he knew. And he basically sort of saying to her, just go with it.
But then when Peter wakes up, it's so funny. He's like, do you want to be a putz?
Yeah.
I love you, Peter. You're my godson. I love you more than anything. But you're a putz. And he is.
But, like, the massive theme of the film was I kept getting feelings of so when she starts falling in love with the family, I started thinking to myself, well, she's obviously falling in love with, I'm not saying they're, like, massively rich, because on the scale of, like, social economics, I think she's probably just a tad below them. Like, they're definitely richer than her. But it's almost like this Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Or like My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
Like, she loves this man that's in a coma that she doesn't even know. And she's sort of thinking about a life that she could have with him and with them. She wants to better herself, which isn't a bad thing. We should all aspire to, you know, to be better than, you know, what we are.
I like to get worse.
Well, you've plateaued. You've hit your...
I peaked too early.
Yeah, you did. There's nothing down, like, you know. In 20 years' time, you're going to be in the gutter.
Oh, God. Selling my baby for crack.
But it's almost like she's looking to transform her life through lying, and it's definitely not intentional. But then you've got people like Sol and like her boss who are like facilitating this lie.
Yes.
And I agree. It makes her look moral because it puts her above them, like she's on the moral high ground. But it also shows that these stock characters, these side characters, are almost sort of like endorsing codependency. And I'm thinking, this isn't healthy. And that's one of the problems I have with the film, is that she's looking to better herself in terms of through this guy, but not intentionally. But it's almost like these other characters are sort of endorsing the lie by saying to her, if you go along with it, you are, or even like you should go along with it because you need them. And also, you're in this now because you're lying. Whereas if I was her friend, I would turn around to her and say, I'll come with you. Let's go to the house. Let's sit them all down and explain the situation.
Yeah, definitely.
I would not say to them, you might have to go along with it. Especially, the biggest person I think is at fault here is Sol. Because when he says to her, don't hurt them. And then also later on, when he says, just go with it.
I think maybe you can kind of read it as he can see how it's going to play out. You know, he's like the kind of otherworldly godfather that knows that everything's gonna work out in the end.
Yeah, see, I would like to see it like that because I do believe you. I think he thinks that it's going to run its course. You know, once Peter wakes up, the lie is going to be found out anyway. So just go with it.
I think really, if you think about it, Sol could easily have just sat, is it Elsie, the Nana? Elsie down and just, you know, told her calmly what was going on. So there was no need for this whole, like, she's going to have a heart attack.
But you know, in the putz scene, you know, he calls Peter a putz. I honestly thought he was just going to go to Peter and say to him, look, the reason why you can't remember her is because this happened and this happened. Now, do yourself a favour and do her a favour and just tell her that you know, and then just tell the parents that you agreed that this isn't going to work. Just tell them you've woken up and you've had an epiphany that you don't want to be with her anymore.
I mean, on a small level, it's kind of like, you know those films that are really frustrating where you know that the whole misunderstanding could be resolved if someone just explained something?
Yeah.
You know, and you sort of think, for God's sake, just tell them you went to that party or you know, accidentally did this or that. But because they lie, it all gets a bit like, ah. And I get that the whole point of this film is that it's meant to unfurl that way. And I'm not mad at it. But you do sort of think, everyone, like you said, everyone's making it worse.
Yeah.
Saying that, though, the side characters, I think, because you know what, in most rom-coms, the side characters, to me, are either there just to kind of, you know, just to have filler, or they're there to show what the other characters don't have. So, like, you know, like in When Harry Met Sally, you've got, is it Carrie Fisher?
I haven't seen that film in ages.
I think it's Carrie Fisher. Or was it Jamie Lee Curtis? Anyway, it's one of them. And they get that's Meg Ryan's friend.
Yeah.
And she gets together with Billy Crystal's friend. So the whole way through the movie, they're all falling in love and being all lovey-dovey, whereas Harry and Sally, like, their lives are just completely down the pan half the time. So it builds like a contrast. But other than that, they're not really there for any reason to drive the plot. Whereas in this one, I feel like every single side character is either there for like pure entertainment value and they're, you know, I wouldn't cut them out, or they're there to, like you said, like help the plot.
Yeah, I agree with that, but all but Sol. Like, I think Sol, he is...
You are hating on Sol today.
No, the opposite. I like Sol. I like him. I think he is there for a reason. And I think that's what annoys me the most, though, is because I think he is the one that Lucy connects with the most in terms of the fact that he knows that she's lying. Because they're both lying. They're both, you know, part of this lie now. That they connect on a different level before she actually tells the truth. Do you see what I mean? Because, like, she's almost holding herself back from the family.
Yeah.
Whereas she can be herself with Sol. Even, like, you know, at the end when she's like, so, sort it out.
Yeah.
And she goes one way, then he goes the other way. It's like, yes, I'll come with you now. But I find him... So in the moments where I want him to step up, like in the putz scene, I'm like, yeah, you tell him, Sol. And then, like, tell him what's what and tell him, you know, how this should play out. And he doesn't. I'm like, oh, Sol, you could have easily sorted this out, like, so many times. You let me down.
Maybe he's on the same wavelength as Lucy. He doesn't want her to lose them.
I suppose, yeah.
In the way that she doesn't want to lose them. So in a way, he's kind of like an extension of her feelings.
But these characters, even though they are sort of stock and they are part of the trope, they're there to, you know, facilitate the plot, they do surprise me. Like, I was totally surprised when Jack sits his dad down to tell him that he doesn't want to be part of the business anymore. I was so expecting him to, like, you know, fly off the handle.
Yeah.
And then when he doesn't, I know Jack was surprised, but I was as well. I was thinking, first of all, I was like, oh, that's so nice. that he wants his son to go and be successful and do what he wants to do. And I think it was also there to tell us, the audience as well, that, honesty is the best policy. If you just sit down and tell people how you feel and like your true emotions, it's better than, telling people what they want to hear.
It's funny, really, because Jack and Lucy actually have quite similar arcs in the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Different situations, but similar arcs. Like, during one conversation they have, they call themselves out on it. He's like, you're sat at home in an apartment planning holidays you never take, sort it out. And she's like, well, you're the one still working in a business you don't want to be in. But I like that. I love their relationship. They're so honest with each other from the very get. Obviously, she's having to lie about Peter, but everything else is genuine, I think.
Oh yeah, she's never lying about herself, and it's only when Jack is underhanded and goes behind her back to try and find out, who she is and what she's about.
Yeah.
That he gets the wrong information. Like, him arriving at her flat and Joe Jr. is like
in her closet.
I have to say, I didn't like the whole side story that Joe Jr. likes to dress up in women's clothes.
To be fair, I never really found it that deep when I was younger. I suppose watching it these days, you sort of think, played for laughs. It's not really that funny, but like.
Thing is, but I don't take it any deeper than what it is. Like, I'm not saying that the screenwriter and the director are trying to say that this is, he's closeted, because he's literally in the closet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, and I think it's just a little side quirk that this beefy, sort of Chicago-bred manly man has. But when she opens the door and she's like,
"Are you trying on my shoes?"
Yeah, I just fell into it. It's just
my foot, it slipped, and I love it when he comes to her door and he's all upset, and she's like, "Come on, Joe, do you want to try on some of my shoes?" But it's nice because it shows that she's accepting of him and his, his quirks too. That's the thing. I think that's the difference between Peter and Jack, is that Peter judges everyone on their outward appearance and, thinks, as long as they look pretty and act pretty, then they're wonderful people. Whereas Jack is a bit more like looking for something a bit deeper.
He judges himself as well. He judges other people, judges himself, and he sort of thinks to himself, because that's the whole thing. I think that's the whole thing that skews me out. When he sort of wakes up and then his family tells him he's with this girl, and he's sort of like, oh, I've had an epiphany. I want to be a better person, and why not be a better person with you? Because you're here right now.
I just love it when he can't remember Lucy. He's like, "Who are you?" And the doctor's like, "Oh, he might have amnesia." And Ox is just like, "He has amnesia."
I love Ox. He's so.
Me too.
He's not in it enough, but he's so like. I think Peter Ball has this ability to be. Peter Ball is the perfect straight man. In comedy duos, there's often a straight man who doesn't get as many laughs as what the funny guy would. It's like Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
Like, Penn gets all the laughs because Teller's just sort of like is the straight man to Penn's wackiness. But Peter Ball has the ability to play the straight guy but get the laugh at the same time.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, because even the part where they're being honest to each other, him and Jack, when he turns around and says, "I wish you had told me sooner, because I could have sold the business."
Yeah.
Even that made me laugh.
I think it's a bit of a dick move that Jack brings him donuts and doesn't give him any.
No, I think it's a dick move that he brings him Dunkin' Donuts, which are the worst sort of donuts. Because I was taking notes. I literally wrote down, "Dunkin' Donuts, Jack, what are you playing at? Where's the Krispy Kremes?"
They can't afford Krispy Kremes.
Oh, talking of donuts and like product placement, the bit where she opens the fridge and there's that lingering shot of the Baskin and Robbins.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking, that was the worst product placement in the entire film.
Can we talk about the scene where Lucy goes? She finds the hospital will give her a bag of all of Peter's things, obviously assuming that she's his partner, and she takes them home and finds the can of tuna. And she's like, "Oh my God, it's a cat!" So she goes to his apartment, which also shows as well that she's not creepy, because if you were a stalker and someone gave you the keys to your beloved's flat, you'd go around there and start snooping around, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I definitely would.
The only reason that she thinks to go to his flat is to feed the cat.
Not that I'm a stalker, but
I just care about the cat.
would that immediately jump to mind though. I don't know if it would with me. But I know you're a cat owner, so maybe it would for you. But I don't know whether or not if I looked through a briefcase and found a can of tuna, I would immediately think that's for a cat.
I think, well, she's got a cat as well.
Oh yeah, see, there you go, cat owners. See, you all stick together.
But the scene when you go to his apartment just tells you everything. Did you notice when she walks in, there's a framed black and white headshot of him on the coffee table?
Well, and also, did you notice that when she looked through his briefcase anyway in his wallet, there's only pictures of him?
Pictures of him! Which is so sad.
But I also thought to myself, are you a model? Like, this is my headshot.
Yeah.
This is me playing tennis.
I can't tell if it's like really funny because he's so vain, or if it's really sad that he just doesn't like have anyone else to have pictures of. Not even his cat.
I found it funny because...
Or Ashley.
Yeah, I found it funny because of the pictures in the wallet. But I took it as in it added more fuel to the fire that he sort of separated himself from his family. But it's definitely sad. But why wouldn't there be pictures of him and Ashley? I mean, it sounds like they've been in a long-term relationship.
But she is married.
He knows they're married. She's married, yeah.
Yeah, he knows that, yeah. Cheeky monkey. Honestly, like, one of the nicest things about the film is that it takes so much time to build Jack and Lucy's relationship. In so many, especially recent films, the characters, they end up hating each other, which Jack and Lucy kind of do. Like, Jack's suspicious of her, but she doesn't not like him. You know, in most films, they hate each other, and for the first half of the film, they're like scrapping. And then they have a big dramatic kiss, or they, you know, something will happen and they'll fall in love. And you just think, that's not what real life is like, though. I get that films aren't real life, like, everyone knows that. But sometimes I just want to see a nice, you know, relationship form where I believe it.
What I like about... Because like I said, I did not like Jack to begin with. But once he stopped this snooping, you know, he stopped all the snooping. Because that was only...
Yeah.
To be fair to the film, it was only maybe 10, 15 minutes spent to him trying to find out, you know, if she's lying or not. Which, to be fair, she is.
I love that the reason he stops snooping is because she tells him about the pencil.
Now, my mind wouldn't immediately jump to that place in terms of like...
No, me neither.
But it's a pretty impressive lie. It shows she can think on her feet. But to your point, once he stops the whole snooping part, and then we see moments where they just click, they connect on a deeper level than just looks and superficiality, which is how she's, you know, connected with Peter. She sees this guy and she's just immediately taken by him because he's so gorgeous, apparently. Whereas Jack, she doesn't have that. She doesn't look at him straight away and think, you know, you're gorgeous. It's just someone that she has to cooperate with. And then you realise that they start connecting on all these little things. But then I do enjoy the part right at the end when... So you have the wedding and it all comes out. In my mind, I think maybe a month or a couple of months has passed. For me, that's key to their relationship, in that it took those couple of months or maybe even less for him to think, no, I do love you. And in my mind, I think the family pushed him as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That's why I like that they're there at the end with him.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I read reviews, didn't like that.
Oh, I disagree.
But I think it's just perfect because even though obviously she's not getting with Jack just because of the family, it's true that when you get with somebody, like, you have to marry their family too.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just... You're not an island with them. So I think it's lovely. And the fact that they approve, and the fact that also, obviously, she lies to all of them. So at the end, you need to know that they forgive her too.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I can't believe people would not like that, because you're right. It's not been about the fact that she's just lied to Jack. She's lied to them as well. And I can't believe that people didn't pick up on that, because that's the whole thing about what Sol was saying. Sol was saying, you know, you're not just...
Sorry, I just had a flashback to the wedding when she's giving the speech and like kind of explaining herself, and she's like, "Oh, I wanted to tell you, but I ended up falling in love with you." And Ox is like, "You fell in love with me?"
I was like, "Yeah, Peter Ball in your shiny head." But while we're there, I have to say, I know this line is cheesy, but it did make me choke up. You know, and she said, it made me choke up and laugh, because you know it says, "I might have saved your life on the track that day," and I thought to myself, I know what's coming.
Here we go, yeah.
But the truth is, you saved mine. And I was like, oh God. So cheesy, but oh God.
It is though, but it is true. I mean, for all we know, she could have spiraled into a deep depression, or maybe not so, you know, literal, but a life without family and love to her isn't a life, is it? So really, they saved her from being dead inside.
Yeah, and that's why it is so important that the family is there at the end, because, like I said to you earlier, for me, this film is more so to do with the fact that she wants to improve her life. And also because if you look at it in terms of like why she's in Chicago, she's there because her dad had to move when he got ill and they took him to a research hospital because obviously they're looking for a cure, but there was no cure for him until he was like prodded and poked. She lost all her money because she had to spend on this hospital. She can't go back to school because she can't fund anything. So now she has to... Because I find it quite sad because obviously they would have sold the house in Milwaukee for money. So she has nowhere to go back to. So she's literally stuck. So she has no one. She's lost all her family.
And it's nice because Jack's dad isn't dead, but Jack's also in that situation where he feels like the family obligation is stopping him from... Because he wants to be a furniture designer and maker. And he can't because he's got this obligation to his family. And she couldn't go off and do what she wanted to do because she had the obligation to look after her dad when he was ill. So they've got so much in common. It's all different situations, but they've written it so well that they can relate to each other on every level. It's so nice. And he never... I mean, I don't know for sure, obviously, but it does seem like you can kind of infer from it that Jack hasn't really had many relationships either. Like romantic ones.
That's what I take from that, because he's too busy having to take the load from his dad and keep this business going. He has no time for himself.
So he's probably quite lonely too, in terms of love.
Even though, and actually to go back to the ice scene, because I did mention how I feel like the film sort of puts codependency as a coping mechanism. And in my opinion, sometimes codependency can be unhealthy. But that scene, because if you notice, so we're talking about, the guy that takes a dive on the ice and then the paperboy takes a dive, they're on their own. So when Lucy and Jack are holding on to each other on the ice, they're stable, they're able to stay up. And it's only when they pull away from each other that they both fall over.
Oh, I love it so much.
That's why that scene is important to me. And also, it's the one scene that I jumped back to in my mind when the film ended. I thought to myself, that is the lesson that the director wants you to take away from that. That, when you're on your own, you can fall and you can fall hard. But if you have someone there to be able to help you up, it's more about the fact that they can help you from falling rather than the fact that you need them.
Because doesn't she drag him off in the end? Off the ice. Doesn't he fall over and break his trousers open?
She sort of pulls him along. I took it rather than... Because even though... Not to hate on Soul, because I do love Soul, but he definitely... The way he says to her, you need to keep the lie going for the family, I took that as in more of the fact that they're relying on you and you're relying on them. And in my mind, that was unhealthy. But her and Jack is the one example where I feel like it is healthy. Like you just said, you've got these two lonely people, and the fact that they can find each other in a not a non-superficial way and more on a deeper level, that they almost bond over the fact that they have so many aspirations and are lonely, which I suppose sounds unhealthy. But what I mean by that is that it took for them to be on the same level for them to find themselves. Rather than like, if Jack was successful, would he be more willing and open to finding someone like Lucy?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? But I don't know, I feel like just their personalities mesh
that too
really well. Also, what I really like about the film as well is that, this is a very, very silly note, but the way she dresses is atrocious. I like it because I dress atrociously too.
No, I agree. Because when Joe Jr. says to her, hey, I like your...
sweater.
Lucy, you need to up your wardrobe. It's going to take you to the ice capades.
But I think it says a lot that she can dress like shit the whole way through the film, and Jack still thinks she's like bee's knees. She doesn't need to be all designer. When you look at what Ashley wears, she wears all like suits and high heels the whole way through.
I took that definitely as in the fact that she's poor.
Oh, really? I don't know. I thought it was just kind of... She likes to be comfy.
I think it's a bit of both, because the dress at the end, I always thought, when she goes to the wedding, I always thought that's a dress that was her mum's and not she bought.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was meant to be her mum's or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely horrible though. Ugh.
But it's horrible. But I think it's quite funny though. It's quite charming. But I think one of my favourite bits is like when they're walking through after they've brought the sofa back to his apartment, and he gets his van locked in, so they have to walk, and they're walking back through, and he's saying like, your coat's got loads of holes in it. And she's like, but it's my dad's coat. So she's like, she holds on to like the sentiment of clothes more.
Yeah.
Rather than, I mean, obviously she's cold because the coat is crap.
Yeah.
But she misses her dad so much that she would wear it, which I think is quite sweet, really. As long as it's not his underpants.
God, can you imagine?
I think the coat thing is really sweet. I think it's the sort of thing that someone like Jack would do.
For him, the business is his coat. Like, it's almost like he's holding on to the business because he feels a loyalty to his dad, and that if he was to let it go, in terms of like for him to to follow his dream and leave the business, he's scared of what would happen to his dad. Like, would this sort of end him basically?
One of my favourite bits in the whole courtship of the two is towards the end. I think it's just before. I think Peter's already proposed to Lucy and Jack's gone round to I think just speak to her. I'm not really sure, but he gives her that snow globe with Florence inside it, which to me is like any single, or even in a relationship, woman or man watching it. That's when you're just like, Bill, marry me.
I know she gives him the opportunity to sort of tell her,
but he's loyal to his brother, isn't he? He thinks that she loves Peter.
But I almost wanted her to, because that's what got me. I was thinking, like, Lucy, I know you want him to step up and tell you how he feels, but you're right, he's not going to say that because he thinks that you're his brother's fiancé. So really, I really wanted to push her in that moment and say, look, you do it. This is your perfect moment to say to him, I've been lying and this is why, but I really do love you.
Because, like, it's sweet that even though he doesn't step up, in a way it's because that's because he loves her, because he wants her to be happy.
Yeah, but I almost think he would have been in the right frame of mind to hear the truth at that point. This is why I think Ox is so important as a side character, because when Jack has that talk with Peter Boyle, and he turns around to him and says, I wish you had told me sooner, I think it opened him up emotionally to think that when he finds out that she has been lying, because it could have gone really bad. If you found out someone that you've fallen in love with has been lying to you for a week or so, you would be heartbroken. You could be like, well, how can I trust you ever again? But the fact that he doesn't, and then obviously gives some time to think about it and then realise that he does love her. But I think if she had said it to him before he had the talk, because as far as he knows, in his head, you have to keep lying. You have to, do stuff that you don't want to do. I have to work for my dad because, there's no other choice.
That's life.
Yeah, that's life. So if she had stepped up at that moment, I don't think he would have been ready to hear it.
No. Oh, Jack. But I'll end it with something that I think is very funny. So do you ever watch Everything Wrong With videos?
Yeah.
So whenever a character says the title of the film, they always go, roll credits. And at the end she goes, Peter once asked me when it was that I fell in love with Jack, and I told him it was while he was sleeping, and I was like, roll credits! So it did.
Do you know what? It's so funny you bring that up, because I do actually like it when the title of the film is mentioned within the film.
Yeah,
because I always think to myself, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes you can't. It doesn't logically, like, for instance, the Bond film Quantum of Solace?
Yeah.
Right, so Quantum is the organisation in the film, but I always thought to myself, if they ever shoehorned in the full title, it would be so awkward.
Oh my God.
Because could you imagine? Because like Bond sort of saying, they're a quantum of solace.
But I think in this film it really fits. I really like it.
Oh no, I like it. I like it too.
It wraps things up so nicely.
Because the title of the film, I never actually thought too much about it. Because I always just thought, it happens while he's sleeping. But the fact that at the end it actually sort of they worked it into the the film, I was like, oh no, that actually is quite a logical title for a film. Like, it was While You Were Sleeping.
I mean, it's cheesy as hell, but...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But I like it. It's better than bloody You Got Mail or Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, but to bring it, full circle, like I said, like the music at the beginning, it got me straight into the film. Like I was like, oh yeah.
And do you know what? After that, it was used in loads of other films. The one that comes to mind first is Parent Trap at the end, the Lindsay Lohan one.
Yes, you're right.
They used it loads for the rest of the 90s. That song was like the shit. I love it. I love it. I listen to it all the time. I love it.
But then, so to end it on that sort of cheesy note with her sort of saying, oh, it's While You Were Sleeping, because she says it quite simply as well.
Yeah.
Like it's not like she sort of, they were like, right, Sandra, we need to sit you down. You need to say the title of the film. It was While You Were Sleeping.
It's kind of creepy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think While You Were in a Coma sounds a bit.
Yeah, it was after you got knocked out.
Would you rent a film that was called While You Were in a Coma?
That sounds like more like a thriller.
It does. So yes, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So for the negative points, was it just Saul that pissed you off, or did you have anything else?
So let's get into that. At the end of the podcast, we like to summarise our overall thought. I do have a few negatives that I did want to say for the overall thoughts. I don't know. I think it was mainly the film felt formulaic in terms of like how there was definitely all the ingredients there for successful rom-com. And that, for me, that's both a negative and a positive. But I don't know if I'm being unfair to the film and to like film genres in general.
Yeah, it's not your favourite genre, is it? Let's be honest.
I think that's probably what it is. So because when you sort of have all the ingredients for another genre, it makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel like I know what I'm going into. Because I like that. As a film viewer, I like to go into a film knowing what I'm going to get. And often when I leave a film, it's often because I didn't get what I wanted, that I always have a negative impression, which is also sometimes bad when you're analysing a film because you don't want to go in with preconceived notions. However, even though I feel like it was formulaic in terms of like I recognised who everyone was and what the ingredients for a successful rom-com was, do I like the film because I'm a Sandra Bullock fan? Or did I like the film? And that's where I come from it. So I've got sort of like, I'm stuck in two camps and I can't decide which is which.
I think if they were to recast the entire movie, it would be slightly less good. Although I would argue that the writing is a massive, like a 75% of why it's so
I
good.
stand by what I said. The writing is impeccable and the characters are just so natural.
Those actors being in it is definitely helpful, but I don't think I would hate the movie if it wasn't them. Like if it was somebody like, I don't know. Say it was Meg Ryan, I probably wouldn't be as keen. I know I wouldn't be as keen.
I don't like Meg Ryan.
But no, nor do I. It's probably a bad. Okay, like maybe like Julia Roberts or something.
Who was originally cast, wasn't she? That's the one bit of trivia I did look up.
Oh, was she?
Oh, did you not know that?
No, she's too tall for Bill Pullman.
Yeah, the one bit of trivia I did see when I was just looking up because I wanted to get a sort of sense of where Sandra Bullock was in her career at the time. So I did a bit of Googling. But the film was offered to Julia Roberts. She turned it down. So then they got Sandra Bullock.
Oh, no, I did know that because she wanted to be in America's Sweethearts, didn't she? That was it.
Ugh, did she?
Yeah, I know.
Just a little small tangent. But I don't think Julia Roberts is as good a great actress as people think she is. So... Yeah, I don't. She's great in what she does, but for me, she's a Michael Caine. In that Michael Caine is, you hire Michael Caine to be Michael Caine.
Yes.
I think Emma Roberts is the better Roberts, but anyway, hot take there.
She's good at what she does. Yeah, but to be fair, Sandra Bullock's a bit like that too, isn't she?
But maybe it's I find Sandra Bullock more entertaining in what she does.
You like her brand.
Yeah, I like her brand.
It's funny though, because whenever anyone says Michael Caine, all I can think of is my cocaine. And I'm like, what about your cocaine?
That's my Charlie.
I do think I had a little look at kind of the user ratings and, top 10 lists and everything of rom-coms and that. While You Were Sleeping doesn't appear on any. I think it appeared on one of them. And that was like number 10 or number 9. Of course, they are all like Splash, Harry Met Sally, blah, blah, blah. Which I was expecting. And I'm a bit confused as to why it's not better known, because it's got a really good cast. It's got quite a lot of popular tropes and, you know, kind of story mechanics as all the rest of the films that are out at that time. But they all did a lot better. And I'm wondering if it's because the cast aren't quite as well known at that time.
I think that's what it is.
Because if you think about it, you know, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, everyone else, they all kind of came to fruition in the 80s, didn't they? So by the mid-90s, they were like bankable. Like, you know, you go, oh, do you want to go see the new Meg Ryan film? Whereas if you said to somebody, oh, do you want to go see the new Bill Pullman film or the next Sandra Bullock film? If they hadn't seen Speed, they're not really going to care, are they?
I definitely agree because I could be wrong, but when I was doing my research, so for instance, the film that I compare this to is only because I think it's because it's more recent. It's one of my favourite rom-coms. You know, The Proposal, which has Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
So they're both lying in that film as well. And they're lying that they are a married couple, or soon-to-be married couple. Engaged, but they're not. Now, The Proposal went on to become Sandra Bullock's fourth highest grossing film in her career.
Really?
And I'm pretty sure I read that this was also in that top 4.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong about that.
Well, I'm not surprised in terms of having watched the film and knowing how good it is.
Now, Bill Pullman, is he an established actor at this point?
I think after this, the year after he did Casper, and then he did Independence Day the year after, I think.
Oh, so maybe he might not be.
Oh, sorry. He'd been in Sleepless in Seattle. Kind of well known, but as I said, he was the fall guy in that. So
I think the film might have been successful off the success of him. And I know because Speed was really well received as well, and it got seen by a lot of people. So maybe people that, especially sort of maybe girlfriends that were dragged to see that film, would then know Sandra Bullock and be like, well, we went to see that. I want to go see this now.
I think, to be honest, a lot of people like this film more than they'd like to admit.
That too. And I think... But I definitely think it would have done even better if it was Sandra Bullock now.
Yeah.
So like if it was,
100%.
She's so bankable now that it might have been more well received by critics and audiences alike. Because Proposal was awful, it was ish received. It wasn't great, but it did gross so much money.
It's funny because I was looking up on IMDb to see if there was a rom-com top 100 or whatever. But there wasn't. There was only a romance or a comedy, which I thought was a bit strange because rom-com is quite a... I know it's a hybrid, but it is pretty much its own genre, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I always put them together anyway because romantic films are often funny anyway.
It's very established. Anyway, so I had a look. On the romance list, you've got things like La La Land, Some Like It Hot, Princess Bride. They got Groundhog Day and Annie Hall, both of which I really like. But it's funny because on both lists, on the comedy and the romance list, Amelie was really high, which I thought was really interesting because the plot of Amelie is fairly similar to While You Were Sleeping. You know, she lusts after this guy that she doesn't know. She kind of masquerades to try and get him. But maybe because it's French, it's more charming to people, I don't know. But it's funny that a film that's so kind of similar will be really, really high. But our one, but While You Were Sleeping, is like nowhere to be seen.
I think what it is, rom-coms and comedies in general are looked down upon, and I'm guilty as well, is that you can look at them and think that they're made on a budget and like a small budget rather than compared to like a sort of big blockbuster or even like a film that has more money thrown at it. And I think it's because you do sort of cast less established names. You might have sort of like one established name and one that isn't. Because I look at, like Monster-in-Law.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? So you've got Jane Fonda and Jennifer Lopez. Now they're your big movie stars that you're going to put in that film. But they also have Michael Vartan in it, who at that time was only known for Alias, which was on TV.
I think he was in Never Been Kissed as well, wasn't he, with Drew Barrymore?
Oh, has he?
Yeah, but I mean, he was pretty bland in that.
Yeah, he's pretty bland.
Yeah, he is, bless his little heart.
I find him totally endearing, but I think he's a bit bland. But my point is, so like with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman's going to be the bigger name on that list, even though Sandra would probably go on to eclipse Bill's career. I think that's probably why you might overlook the film in terms of like, it's pretty bog standard to sort of see a rom-com and think that Sandra Bullock would be cast in that.
Yes.
Whereas if you look at the film now with modern eyes and you see Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock, you'd be like, well, I don't really want to watch a film with Bill Pullman.
It's true, bless him. I mean, I'll always have a soft spot for Bill, but I watched The Sinner the other day and he has not aged well.
No. But then if you were to look at, say, like, so I keep bringing the proposal up, but what I mean by that is I would think now that Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock are equally established now. So if I was to look back at that film in another 10 years, that would appear, I would expect that to appear on much more lists than While You Were Sleeping, only because they're two established actors that you think, oh my God, Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds in a comedy? Yeah, I'm going to watch that.
In a comedy.
A comedy.
But yeah, I had a look on the ratings just generally on the internet, and Metacritic gives 67%, IMDb gives 6.7, so same, really. Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 80% fresh rating.
Oh, fresh.
Which tells me that the people have spoken, and they love it too. Personally, like, I'd give it about a 7.5. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, because I know it's not perfect, but I love it. It's chicken soup for the soul. To catch the listeners up, every month we are going to judge the film on its own merit. So we'll give it a score out of 5. And then it'll go on to a list of films that we'll be reviewing throughout the year. What did we give Pirates? We gave Pirates a 4, didn't we? Out of 5. I think it was a 4, wasn't it? I think we gave it 4.5.
So we gave it 4.5. I think that sounds right. So what would you give? Because we have to come to consensus as well, don't we? We have to agree on this. For me, I would give it a solid 3.
I would give it... Okay, my heart would say like a 5. But my film heart would say a 4. But I can see where you're coming from with the 3, because it isn't perfect. It does have its flaws. So can we make, say, a 3.5? Have a haggle?
I'm willing to jump up with you to 4, but because as a rom-com, I think it's pretty perfect. I know we were joking earlier that we said if it was to be remade today, they would do the whole gender swap.
Yeah.
Which I would actually like to see now. But I think this plot, even though you're right that it probably might not work today with social media and blah, 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 the bare bones there of a story, you could take that and put that into any situation and you've got a different type of film. So I think the fact that they've used it in a rom-com setting with all the ingredients that work, I think as a rom-com, it is impeccable. It is perfect. So I'm trying to fight against the fact that I'm not maybe a massive rom-com guy against my own opinion as a film critic. So I think...
But then equally, I have to remove my nostalgic bias.
Yeah.
Because I realise that what I love might not be actually relevant to how good the film itself is.
Let's meet in the middle, so 3.5 actually.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, love actually. 3.5 actually.
That's a whole other kettle of fish.
So at the moment, it would be below Pirates, which to me sounds about right, but I'm not trying to compare them because they're obviously vastly different films, but I don't think Pirates is going to be at the top for very long.
No, I don't either.
Next month, we are going into the sci-fi zone. Yeah, and we'll be talking about Ex Machina. Please email us via reelyrated@gmail.com. That's all one word, reelyrated@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts, opinions, and reviews on the films we've discussed so far. And after all that, if you still have time to give us a rate, review, subscribe, thumbs up, and 5-star the podcast wherever you listen to us. Not only does this help us gain new listeners, but also grow the Reely Rated community, which I know myself and Jess are really passionate about. So we're going to leave you here. So make sure you watch Ex Machina by time for next month.
That's your homework.
That's your homework. But for now, I will say goodbye. And Jess, please avoid that train.
It's an express.
It's fast.
Oh, lots of love, guys. Bye.